Dynamic freezer fan, you've seen two of them already this morning, with Camilla's third one, and she is driving.
Coming into the vintage motor car category, we now have a delightful and enormous Hispano-Suiza. They are always distinctive by the radiator mascot, which is a flying stork, and all Hispano-Suizas had one. Now this one is 1919.
The engine was developed by Mark Birkicht, who was a Swiss engineer for Hispano-Suiza, which is why we have the Swiss flag on the front, and it's the Suiza part of the name. He was taken over by the French Air Force in 1914 and designed all their aircraft engines for the First World War. In particular, he developed engines with an aluminium block for lightness, and when the war was over and he went back to designing engines for cars, the engine for this car, which was 1919, used the same technology with an aluminium block, and I know for a fact that this block can be picked up by a young girl quite happily in her hands. It's so light. So we'll open up and have a look. I have to say that a lot of what you see there is not 1919. Those three SU carburetors are not the original ones. The original one was a Solex carburetor mounted on the side between the words Hispano and Suiza that you see down there, and some previous owner in about 1930 thought he was going to increase his performance and put on these SU carburetors, and in fact a lot of the controls had to be changed at the same time. So from a purist point of view, that's not original, but it gives you an idea of the size of the engine.
If I ask the question, how many gallons does it do to the mile?
The answer is about 10 or 12.
Yeah.
So not much better than that. And whether these carburetors actually improved its performance, whether all they did was to make its petrol consumption worse, I'm not too sure, but no. Not having anything to compare it with. And it's it's 94 years old, yes, and excellent. It's been in my family now for 64 of those years, so 2/3 of its life. Yes. My father had it before me, and I'm doing my utmost at the moment to stop my son from hijacking it from me altogether.
Yes, which he will do one day.
Well, he almost has, because he took this back to France for the first time since the war, beginning of this month, yes, and drove it for about 700 miles.